Hey guys, Panzer J back here in Operation Champ. We are up to turn number 10. That's January 41 for the US KMT. And at this point, with the exception of Italy, it looks like every major power is now in the conflict. Over in the Pacific, in the Far East, the Russians declared war on Japan and went into a couple of Manchurian territories and promptly turned those over to the CCP. So that was definitely a blow for the KMT. The Japanese, under Madman Dan's leadership, took Calcutta. One thing surprising he did was he did go into a Chinese territory, so that aligned the remaining warlords to the KMT. So that was a much-needed boost in the arm because the Civil War is definitely not going well. Not only did a board gaming bro get those 3 Manchurian territories courtesy of the Soviet Union, but he also aligned that one northern warlord with the 3 territories. So things were looking grim there. They're still not the greatest. And based on my track record the last couple turns with the KMT attacks, I'm not sure it's going to matter a whole lot, but we'll see. A little bit of boost there, a shot in the arm. The Japanese also took the Philippines and Wake from the United States. Over in Europe, not a lot happened. The Russians did declare war on Germany, moved into Finland, the Baltic states. Not a lot going on there, though. Hambone had some bad luck, some actually terrible luck. He tried to get a couple of German subs there in the Atlantic and missed everything. So we'll see how the Battle of Atlantic shakes out here. As far as the U.S., we did survive a German attack off of New York. We lost a couple of coastal subs, but I believe we inflicted 3 subs in return for casualties. So not too bad. As far as this turn for the United States, we've got our usual 6 tech rolls, and we have not been doing good for tech. We've only completed 3. And we're far away from the victory point for the 4 techs we need to complete there. 2 of them are at stage 1. One's completed and one's at stage 2. So it's not looking good for the U.S. And considering, 6 tech rolls per turn, we're way below average for hitting on tech. So this is probably my least favorite part of the turn at this point. But we are going to go for advanced artillery, and that's at stage 1, and I need a 7 or higher. Heavy bombers, stage 2, 9 or higher. Long-range aircraft, stage 1, 7 or higher. Advanced subs, stage 3, 8 or higher. Strategic rockets, stage 1, 9 or higher. And heavy battleships, stage 3, 7 or higher. So those are going to be our 6 attempts. And as usual, we're going to go from top to bottom. So first, advanced artillery at a 7 or higher. And we got a 9, so we succeeded there. How about heavy bombers, 9 or higher? A 5, we missed that. I wish I would have got the 9 for that one. Long-range aircraft, 7 or higher. An 8, we succeeded there. Advanced subs, 8 or higher. A 2, we missed that. Strategic rockets, 9 or higher. A 4, we missed that. And finally, heavy battleship, 7 or higher. And a 9, we got that. So we finished off that. So we got 3 of 6 this turn. So not too bad, I suppose. So let's move advanced artillery up to stage 2. Long-range aircraft up to stage 2. And we completed heavy battleships. So, and that will do it for the United States for tech. So on to purchases. I believe I was at 90 at the end of the U.S. turn, and I only was convoyed for $1, so that's not too bad. So we've got $89 to spend, and we're going to spend all of it. So over here, we've got 2 jets for 12 apiece, so that's 24. We've got our 5 heavy cruisers that were at stage 2 on the production chart, finish them off for 20, so that's 44. Our 5 light cruisers on the production chart, finish those 5 off for 15, so that's 59. Finish off a fleet carrier for 4, that's 63. Finish off a light carrier for 3, that's 66. A militia for 2, that's 68. And then these 2 dice here are for $3 a piece. So that's up to 74. And those 2 dice, I'm going to try to align Mexico and Cuba. Now, that would normally be, I would have to hit on a 3 or less, but because the Germans convoyed the Rio, New York line, I get a +1. So I will need a 4 or less on those 2 rolls. So we were up to $74. $3 to lend-lease the French and infantry, that's 77. And then $12 to lend-lease the British a fighter for 89. And then these 2 infantry down here are because of the last roll, the random events roll for the Latin America War. Brazil is able to place 6 IPP worth of units, and I'm just going to place 2 infantry for the full 6. And then for the KMT, they have 6 to spend, and they're going to spend it on 2 infantry. So both the KMT and the U.S. spend their full amount. As far as combat goes, actually, I think I have to do my die rolls net first. So let's do our 2 die rolls. So we'll grab the blue dice here, take that one off. Not that it really matters, but okay, so this one is going to be from Mexico, and we need a 4 or less. An 8. I thought it was on a 4 for the longest time there. Oh, well. Okay, so now Cuba 4 or less, and a 2, so we got 1 out of 2. Not the one I really wanted, but not bad. So we'll go ahead and take the pro-allied marker off. Cuba is worth $1, and I get a infantry and a fighter out of it. So let's go ahead and move the U.S. up $1 to 68. Okay, and then I'll swap out those units, but I will get to move them this turn. The infantry will stay there, but the fighter is going to move. So on to combat. So for the U.S. over here in the Atlantic, we're going to take this destroyer that's in Sea Zone 22 that's on escort duty, and he's going to come over 1 and go on escort duty in 21. So that'll give me 2 destroyers there on escort duty in 21. And I believe that is it for the United States for combat. So on to the KMT, which is, I think I said earlier that the tech roll for the United States is my least favorite part of each turn, but I have to take that back. KMT attacks are definitely my least favorite part of each turn. But we're going to try again. So we are going to try for, let's see, we're going to go into Yunnan. So Board Gaming Bro has 4 militia and 2 infantry there in Yunnan. Okay, so we are going to go in, and this is going to be a little bit more complicated, even though it's a small battle, just because I'm having units coming from a bunch of different territories, and with the whole KMT retreating thing, I'm going to have to keep track of what territory units came from. So down here in Kwang Tung, we were going to have these 2 infantry come over. 1. So remember those 2 guys came from Kwang Tung. I'm relying on you guys to double check my work here if I mess anything up. Okay, so then down in Tibet, we are going to have a cavalry and a mountain infantry come down. Now, the mountain infantry doesn't retreat, so we only have to keep track of the cavalry in that regard. And then here in, I think that's Shenxi, maybe? Shanghai? I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce that. But we're going to come down 1 into Yunnan with a cavalry and 3 infantry. And those guys are crossing a river. But it doesn't matter for those units because the cavalry are going to be 2s this whole battle because of the mountain territory, and the infantry will be 1s. Okay, and then what else do we want to come down? we are going to have some more units here in, where is this? Szechuan come down. So we are going to have, I think we're going to have all of our cavalry come down. So all of those cavalry, and that's a total of, I believe, 8 I'm left with now. 2, 4, 6, 8, yep. 8 cavalry from Szechuan. And that should be it. Nothing else is coming down. So that will finish off the 1 KMT attack. Okay, so since that's our only combat that needs to be rolled, let's go ahead and do that. So, okay, we've got the 8 cavalry that came down from Szechuan. So that's 8 2s. So, and again, on a roll of 10 or higher, we have to retreat. So I'm going to do 4 and 4 just to make this a little easier, trying to grab all these dice. Okay, so for the first 4, we're looking for 2s here. And we got a 1, a 9, a 4, and a 7. So we did 1 hit. So he'll take a militia. And amazingly, none retreated. Okay, the other 4 cavalry. And we got 2 5s, a 2, and a 1. So 2 more hits. So he'll lose 2 more militia. So this battle is going much better than the previous 2. Okay, so now we have got, how about we've got these 2 infantry that came over from Kwang Tung. So 2 1s, a 3 and an 8, neither hit, but they don't have to retreat. Let's see, from Tibet we had a cavalry and a mountain infantry. The mountain infantry doesn't have to suffer the penalty, and they didn't come from, they don't have to cross a river, they just came directly into mountains. So let's do the cavalry first separately, though, because this will retreat if it's a 10 or higher. So I need a 2 or less for this cavalry to hit, and a 10 retreated. So we will take that cavalry and send him back to Tibet. And then the mountain infantry at a 2 or less, 5 misses. And then finally, we have a cavalry and 3 infantry coming down from Shanghai, whatever, the northern territory. You guys know what I'm talking about. Okay, so we got 4 roll. Well, let's do the cavalry first at a 2 or less. 10, so he has to retreat. So we'll send him back to where he came from. And now we've got 3 infantry at 1s. And 2 4s and a 12. So another guy has to retreat without getting a hit. Okay, so that's it for the attacks. Now, the CCP have 4 militia at 2 or less. And a 7, 3, or 2 7s, a 2, and a 3. So they do 1 hit. So I am going to lose... I am going to lose 1 of the 2 infantry that came from Kwang Tung. Okay, and then take 3 of his militia off the board that died. And now he has 2 infantry at a 4 or less. And 2 2s, how wonderful. Okay, so we're going to lose the 2 infantry, or no, we're going to lose the last of the 2 infantry that came from Kwang Tung, and 1 of the 2 remaining infantry that came from that northern KMT territory. Okay, so now we should have left going into round 2, a militia and 2 infantry for the CCP, 8 cavalry, 1 mountain infantry, and 1 infantry for the KMT. Okay, so for the 8 cavalry, which came from Szechuan, we've got the first 4 at 2 or less. And we got a 1, 8, 5, and a 7. So he'll lose his last militia. Still none of them retreat. And the second 4 do 3 4s and a 3. So no hits, but no retreats. Okay, then we've got a mountain infantry at a 2 or less. 4 misses. And then an infantry that came from that northern territory at a 1. He misses with a 4. Okay, so now the CCP's last militia to 2 or less. A 9 misses, so he's done. And then we got 2 infantry at 4 or less. And a 1 and a 5, so 1 more hit. So I am going to lose that last infantry that I had coming from that northern territory. So now we've got our 8 cavalry, 2 or less. And we got a 2, 12, 5, and a 7. So 1 hit and 1 retreat. So he is now down to just 1 infantry. And I'll send a cavalry back up north. And then we've got our second 4 cavalry. And we got 2 12s, a 4, and a 5. So 2 more cavalry retreat without getting a hit. And we've got our mountain infantry at a 2 or less. An 8 misses. Okay, so he's got 2 infantry at 4 or less. An 8 and a 6. They both miss. So he is now down to a single infantry. And I believe we have, 5 cavalry left? 2, 4, yep, 5. So let's go ahead and get 5 die here. So we got 5 chances at a 2. And I see a 2. I also see a 10. So 1 will retreat. And we got our last hit. So let's just roll our mountain infantry to see. 5 he misses anyways. But I'm pretty sure I've kept track correctly as far as casualty. So he's got his single infantry at a 4. And I just knocked that over. Single infantry at a 4. An 11 misses. So we take Yunnan. It should be with 4 cavalry and 1 mountain infantry. So that knocks down the CCP $1 and moves the KMT up 1. So the KMT I have up to 9 now. And the CCP, I have them at 10, but I don't think that's, it might be correct. I can't remember offhand, but we'll say that they're at 9 for now. I believe that is correct. Okay, so that is it for combat. So on to non-combat. Let's stay over here in the Atlantic. So we are going to strategically naval move 1 of our 3 transports here in C-Zone 30. And that's going to take 2 infantry from New York. And they are going to come down to C-Zone 79 here and drop these 2 infantry off in Gibraltar. So Gibraltar is pretty packed there. Then down in South America, we are going to take these 2 infantry that are in Buenos Aires, and they are going to move up 1 to Gran Chaco. And the artillery in Pampas is going to move back 1 to Grand Chaco as well. We've got our new fighter there from Cuba. So it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 and land in New York to help protect those naval units there. I believe, yes, there is an air base in New York. And that is it for this side of the world. Then over here, we are going to, off of this card here in 96, which consists of these units here, we're going to bring a heavy cruiser down, and it's going to go 1, 2, 3 down into 138. This destroyer in 95 is going to come down 1, 2 to 98. The remainder of this fleet in 96 is going to move up 1 to Hawaii. Now, this is one thing I did forget. I didn't ask Madman Dan if he wanted to unsubmerge that sub. Those naval units are just moving into 68. They're not moving through it. So if he wants to go ahead and contest all of these naval units I'm bringing into 68, then that's fine, and we can roll for that later. But for now, I'm going to assume that he is not going to engage with that sub. Then we've got this fleet here in 64 off of San Francisco here. and they are going to come down 1 into 68 as well. And there's 2 naval transports there, so they're going to bring the 2 Marines and the 2 regular infantry from San Francisco and drop them in Hawaii. Okay. We also have a medium bomber in San Francisco. It's going to go 1, 2, 3 and land on the Hawaiian Islands. Let's see what else. We're going to bring this destroyer in C-Zone 62 back 1 to Hawaii in C-Zone 68. Those 3 subs are going to stay there off of Midway. And then I believe one more non-combat over here for the KMT. These 2 infantry in Xinjiang are going to come down 1 to Shanghai. And I believe that is it for non-combat. Let me just double check. I don't want to forget anything, but I think we're good. Yeah, that'll be good enough. Okay, so on to unit placement. So the 2 free infantry I get for Brazil, they're going to be put down here in Pampas. Then the militia is going to go down over here in Midway. We have, now because I have improved construction, my shipyards produce, I believe it's 8 naval units per major shipyard. So I have 2 major shipyards over there in C-Zone off of San Francisco. So we're going to put our 5 heavy cruisers down over here in 64. And then we're also going to put down our 5 light cruisers. So that's 10 naval units so far. And then we're putting down both the fleet and the light carrier. So that's a total of 12 naval units we put down all together this turn in C-Zone 64. And then we are playing with Madman Dan's carrier rule. So basically, when you purchase a aircraft carrier, newly purchased planes can be put on that carrier, and any planes that didn't move that turn that are adjacent to where the carriers are placed can be put on the carriers. So I had this tactical here in San Francisco that didn't move. So that's going to fly onto the fleet carrier. And then my 2 jets are going to go down on the carriers as well. So we're going to put 1, obviously, on the light carrier, and then 1 on the remaining spot for the fleet carrier. And that should be it for U.S. placement. On to the lend-lease. So we've got a French infantry that can make its way from New York and come on down through C-Zone 79 here, land in Morocco, and then get railed over to northern Algeria. So if my math is correct, that should give Hambone a 3rd regular infantry there. And then the British jet can leave New York, make its way over, and come up through 24, and then get railed to London. So we'll put that jet down there. And that is it for the United States. On to the KMT. We have 2 infantry, and we're placing both of those up here. Actually, we're going to put them down in Shantung. So they're going to both go down in Shantung. And that should be it for unit placement. And I'm definitely going to go over some territories here in a couple minutes. But let's collect income. So the U.S. started the turn at 67. They went up $1 for Cuba, so that's 68. We still have our $12 bonus, so that's 80. And then let's go ahead and roll for our wartime economy. So we've got 80 plus 10, so 90. Same as last turn, $90. Okay, so not bad. The KMT is up to, they spent everything they had, but they're up to 9. So that is what they will have next turn. So 90 for the United States and 9 for the KMT. So real quick, let's go ahead and review. Down in South America, in Gran Chaco, I have 2 infantry and an artillery. There is a cavalry in Buenos Aires. There are 2 infantry in Pampas, and there's an infantry and a cavalry in Rio. In New York, we're now down to 3 infantry and a light armor, but we do have a fighter now. In C-Zone 30, there's a light cruiser, a destroyer, and 2 transports. There's 2 destroyers on escort duty in 21. Let's see. Let's go over to the KMT. I'm going to have to definitely chip some stuff out here. But in Shanghai, we have 3 infantry and a cavalry. Tibet is a cavalry. Yunnan is a mountain infantry and 4 cavalry. Kwangtung is 4 militia. Qichao is 2 militia. Nanking is 4 militia. Shantung is 2 infantry. And Sichuan is 3 infantry, 3 militia, 3 mountain infantry, and 4 cavalry. So that should finish off the KMT. And then for the United States, down here in this international fleet, we've got a heavy cruiser and a destroyer in 138. In 62, we have 2 coastal subs and a regular sub. In 64, off of San Francisco, we've got 5 heavy cruisers, 5 light cruisers, a light carrier with a jet, and a fleet carrier with a jet and a tactical. In Hawaii, we have a militia, 2 regular Marines, 2 infantry, and a medium bomber. And in C-Zone 68, in San Francisco, or off of Hawaii, we have a total of 4 battleships, 2 heavy cruisers, 1 light cruiser, 2 destroyers, 2 naval transports, and a fleet carrier with a tactical and a fighter. So that should be everything for the United States. Hopefully I didn't screw anything up. Definitely double check the battle in Yunnan. Gets a little bit confusing when you got units coming from every direction and they have to retreat. So hopefully no mistakes, but I'm sure you guys will let me know, and I would appreciate if you do if I did make any. That finishes off the US KMT here on turn 10. We will see you guys in July of 41.